We're going to talk to Henry Bolton very shortly about Suella Braverman and what she said yesterday about solving the migrant crisis. A lot more people voted for Liz Truss to be Prime Minister than voted for Gordon Brown, says Cooperman. Tens of thousands for Truss versus zero for Brown. What short memories the left have? Well, you may well say that. Before we speak to Henry Bolton about what we can do and what Suella Braverman can do, let's have a look at what she said yesterday afternoon.
Now, my other mission is to control our borders. Firstly, legal migration. Now, I backed Brexit because I wanted Britain to have control over our migration and to cut overall numbers. Brexit was meant to give us a say on how we determine our own migration policy. We should use our newfound control to deliver the kind of migration that grows our economy. For example, that helps projects that have stalled or builds friendships and relationships with our allies. But the truth is, parts of our system aren't delivering. We need to end the abuse of the rules, and we need to cut down on those numbers that aren't meeting the needs of our economy.
Suella Braverman speaking yesterday to Tory Party conference. Let's talk to Henry Bolton, find out what he made of it all. Henry, very good afternoon to you.
Hi, Mike.
Thanks very much for joining us. I mean, we've heard it all before, you might say, but she seems to be taking a slightly more thoughtful approach, saying, look, I can't do this immediately. It's not going to happen tomorrow. We're going to try and put a legal framework in place. Is there a chance that could happen?
Yeah, there is a chance, Mike, but let's not fool ourselves, and I hope Suella Braverman isn't fooling herself, at how complicated this is going to be. I mean, what she wants to do, and of course I support that intention, what she wants to do is going to involve some very serious conversations in the United Nations over the Refugee Convention. It's going to require some very serious conversations with the regarding the European Convention on Human Rights. And then you've got to actually translate from that large-scale strategic political intent, good though it may be, into the operational effectiveness of it. And this is something that the Home Office simply doesn't have the experience and the knowledge to put together. And that's a very sad indictment of the Home Office, but it's the truth. And, you know, when we look at this, you know, it's not just immigration. Immigration and the boats coming across the channel are actually just the most public face of this problem, of the fact that our borders aren't secure. If you look at other things, firearms being imported into the UK, often by some of the same organised crime groups that are moving people, opiates. So you've got the opiates coming in from the east. You've got cocaine coming in from the west, from South America and so on. All of these things are imported, and to put all that together to deal with this, the government needs to be far more bold than Suella Braverman, and certainly more bold than Liz Truss is intending to be, or certainly presenting that they're going to be, because you've got to bring together the MOD, the Foreign Office, Defence Intelligence, the security services, and everybody else, as well as policing and borders, and actually put together a full, comprehensive and integrated national strategy to really secure our air, land and maritime borders. And at the moment, I don't see any of that, or even the understanding of that, existing in either Downing Street or in Marsham Street, the Home Office, or anywhere else in government. And it's a real problem.
It really is, because if you look at the Home Office itself, it seems to be riddled with people who are against the policy of stopping anybody coming here illegally. You know, we've seen stickers inside the Home Office, refugees welcome, you know, which is not just a sign that says, you know, we're looking for people to come to this country because it can be legal. They're actually supporting the human traffickers, right? Then you've got one of the trade unions, I think, is suing the government over its policy to send people to Rwanda. Then you've got the Border Force people who don't want to do anything. You've got the RNLI bringing them in from French waters. Then you've got the Navy, who got involved for a bit and are now giving up and going back home again in January. You know, so the whole system really is kind of pointed towards the human traffickers' success.
Indeed. And, you know, Liz Truss has said that, you know, we might have to start policy all over again. Well, I tell you what, Mike, British borders need to have an approach of saying, right, we want to start from scratch. Get rid of Border Force. OK, we've got 8 different government agencies patrolling our maritime borders. fishing and everything else. Compare that with the US Coast Guard, one agency. It's rather like the police force. It's dealing with an immigration case one moment, then it's moving on to a counter-narcotics case, and then it's something else. They're patrolling the seas. Our border force don't. They're effectively immigration. What we've done in this country is we've conflated immigration to borders, which is wrong in the first place. Borders are a method by which we can control immigration, but many other things as well. But there really is not that nous there. There's a cultural change that's needed, and I'm afraid, Mike, people like the BBC do not help. Yesterday, I was watching a programme about Suella Braverman's policies and her ideas, and the only people they've got on there are Care for Calais charities. Yeah. And, that's just... I'm trying to be objective here. I don't care. Well, I do care. I've got my own opinions about what government policy should be. But above and beyond everything else, whatever regime we have on our borders, we should be absolutely confident as the British people in the knowledge that our borders are being properly surveilled and managed and secured. And we're not. None of us are. And for us to sort of start talking about, poor, Albanians who aren't fleeing conflict, who come from a country that's a NATO member, and somehow saying that these people need our support, these people are the ones importing firearms. These are the people who are importing drugs. The Albanians have basically taken over the cocaine and heroin trade in the UK. This is not about what Care for Calais would have you believe, that these people are poor, suffering refugees who've got nowhere else to flee to. It's rubbish, and we need to counter that. Of course it is.
And the point about the Albanian connection is that, these are people who could come to the UK legally. And there's only one reason why they're not coming to the UK legally, and I'm pretty sure that it's because they've been deported already once for various crimes that they might have committed, because there's quite a big Albanian presence in our jails as well. And when you get people going, it's not right to demonise an entire country, well, I'm afraid in this case it actually is, because, why would you be coming illegally to a country where you could fly in, on a reasonably cheap flight and just arrive at an airport and come here legally? Why would you do it?
Indeed. Well, part of the problem here is we need to engage with the Albanians. If the Albanians want to deal with the reputation that Albania is suffering, then Albania needs to get a grip of its law enforcement and its organised crime and stop projecting it internationally. And fine, I'm all for going in there and helping the Albanians with that, but we need to again change the way we do it. What we do in the Home Office approach for the last 14, 15 years or so has been to deploy liaison officers. Well, I'm sorry, we don't need immigration liaison officers. What we need is hard-nosed people who have got the nous and skills to go and help the Albanians to kick in the right doors, go and feel the right collars in Albania and put these oiks in jail in Albania before they start projecting their criminality abroad, because that's where the market for it is. We simply don't have that mindset in the Home Office, and it's very worrying. And I've said many times, Mike, government doesn't have the strategic acumen, the strategic sort of vision to understand how to connect all of the various incredibly powerful and useful assets we've got in defence, in intelligence, in policing, in the civil service as well, how to connect that to put together a full integrated strategy to go hunting these people, but at the same time treat them with humanity where it's needed. We just don't have that sophistication because government and the civil service simply don't get it.
No, they really don't. Henry, great to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. Henry Bolton there giving us his view of Suella Braverman's speech yesterday. Things need to be done. People expect action. We saw Nadim Zahawi talking about delivery. People want things done. That's exactly what the Tories have to do. They have to get on with it, and they have to get on with it sooner rather than later.